this video, we're just going to be talking about what makes a good manager. And I was wondering if you could just start by introducing a bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Kareen. I am a manager. So I work within children's services in a safeguarding team. So I have had quite a bit of management experience in children's services in various teams. So I definitely know the challenges that managers face day to day, but equally know how positive and rewarding it can be to be a manager. So yeah.
Well, that's great that you sort of see the positives as well. I think people will be interested to know if it is, a good idea to go into that sort of thing. So what would be your sort of main things that you'd look for in a good manager, would you say?
I think most social workers that you speak to and most managers really have had experience of what they think has been a really good manager, and then experiences of managers they might have struggled with as well. So I think it varies, but over time, I think I've tried to take things from what I've liked from other managers and also taken things from those less positive experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, one thing that makes a good manager is someone that sees the strengths in their social workers, in their practitioners. Because I know, as I often say, that as a social worker, you have to be a master of all trades because, you have to kind of learn to do so many things, but we're also human and we're not brilliant at everything. So
Yeah.
I always think, and my experience has been that you have social workers who are maybe brilliant with direct work and intervention, whereas others thrive on report writing and assessments. So of course you have to get the balance with being a social worker, but equally I really like to identify what a social worker's strengths are and really pull on them, and I think that's a real strength, and for me makes a really good manager someone who can really pull out on a social worker's strengths.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think when you're in a team, I'm a social worker, and you know who's good at what, and I think it helps with your identity as well. When you start to feel that you're getting encouraged towards a certain direction and getting opportunities to develop that in yourself, it definitely helps with your confidence and self-esteem.
Definitely, I agree, and I think, well, it's I guess another one, but it is similar. For me, what makes a good manager is around someone who supports learning and development and professional development, because I think, like I said, identifying a social worker's strengths, really focusing on that is great. And I always think that if a social worker leaves me in and goes into a more progressive role, it's a loss for me, but equally at the same time, it's a sign that I'm doing something right if they've been able to leave me and progress. So I think good managers also support their social workers to develop, even if it means away from them.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Definitely a good sign if you feel like that and that you're building people up, because that's what we're expected to do in social work, isn't it? So it's good when that's used in that way. And I think when you feel that that as managers got you back, that's like a really important thing. How do you think about that?
I agree. I completely agree. I think it's so important for a social worker to feel a manager's got their back and feel safe, because, social work is challenging, and it's great work, but it's challenging work. And you do often have people who aren't happy with you for various reasons. So I think having a manager who supports you, that doesn't mean they don't challenge you and tell you if they feel that something could have been done differently, but just knowing that, what, I've done something wrong, I've forgotten this, but I can go to my manager, tell them that, and they're going to support me through that is really important.
Yeah, and I think knowing that they're knowledgeable, and if they don't know, that they will find out for you, because sometimes you can be scrambling around, can't you, otherwise, and feeling like you're just hitting brick walls really with your work.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think, you just touched on it, just a manager acknowledging when they don't know something and kind of committing to find out with you is important, because I think sometimes social workers can feel that managers should know everything, and they should know a lot because that comes with their experience, but they don't know everything. And I have always really appreciated a manager that's acknowledged, do you know what, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Kareem, but I'm going to help you find out. Or I think I know someone who might know that information. I've always appreciated that in a manager, and actually has made me able to humanize them a bit more as well.
Yeah, because I think considering going into management, a lot of what people say is they'd be worried about not knowing all the answers. So I know that you do a bit of mentoring around people going into leadership, and I wondered what you'd say to people that feel that way.
I would say you don't need to know everything, and you're never going to know everything. I think whether you've been a manager for 5 years or 25 years, you're going to keep on learning. So that should never stop you from progressing. But also, if you know what you don't know, start to think about how you can develop in that area. You know, is there any training available in that area? Could you try and get a shadowing experience with another team? Speak to your manager about particular things you're interested in, and see if they can give you a bit more information about that. So I think when you know there are gaps in your knowledge, try and look at what you can do to fill those gaps, but equally just remember it's going to be a consistent learning journey anyway.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think just sort of wrapping it up, really, if people are going to apply for a new job and they're trying to find out if it's going to be a supportive team, what would you say for people to look out for?
Ask the questions. You know, in your interview, there should always be the opportunity at the end of the interview to ask any questions. Use that opportunity. Try and find out what the makeup of the team is like. Try to find out what the team do together, how they support one another. Try and find that information out. It's an interview. I know you're trying to put your best foot forward, absolutely, but don't be afraid to ask those questions, because as much as, you know, you want the role, you need to know that it's right for you. And I often think that, you know, it's having a good manager is really important, and it kind of can make or break your experience as a social worker, but equally having a supportive team is exactly the same. And I think, you know, often I think about my team, and they get so much support from one another through difficult times and challenging times. So don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. So if people want to find you on social media, where should they look?
So I have a platform called the Social Work Mentor. On Instagram, it's the SW Mentor. And that's really focused around social workers, promoting and supporting the profession of social work, talking about supervision, leadership. You know, that's another area I'm really passionate about. And just supporting social workers to be proud of the work that they do. I also have a podcast, so the Social Work Leaders podcast, which you can find on Spotify. So there we have really good conversations with social workers like yourself, Kayleigh, who have done amazing things in the profession. So if social workers, managers, or even people thinking about coming into social work want to know a bit more, they can find me there as well.
Okay, brilliant. Well, it's been great chatting to you. Thank you.
Thank you.